Echo Alpha here. I'm going to do a quick review about these Motorola Astro Sabers that I purchased on eBay. Paid about 270 USD for these. They came with 4 batteries, the programming cable, which was an aftermarket, the rib box, which was an aftermarket, and 3 chargers. This radio here came with a DMR UHF antenna, which I removed because it really didn't work well, and I replaced it with a wideband UHF antenna. This radio here has the latest firmware in DSP 8.03.05, so the latest DSP 8 for these series of radios. This radio here has firmware 5, but DSP 6. DSP 6 is pretty awful with these radios, so I am going to get this radio upgraded. Alright, so a little detail about these radios. These are both Motorola Astro Sabers, which were produced about in the late 1990s. They take all the accessories as the Saber, besides the programming cable and some of the speaker mics. So, on the top of these radios, you have the volume knob, the channel switch, a 2-position concentric switch. Right here, it's hard to see. See if I get this to focus. And there it goes. And then you have the 2-position rocker switch, which usually is the secure and the unsecure switch, but I do not have encryption keys programmed into these radios, even though both of these radios did come with DES XL secure boards, but they are unprogrammed and I have them turned off via CPS so they don't cause hang time on the radio. Alright, so you got that switch, which I have set for scan, and then on the side you have the top big button, 2 smaller buttons, and push talk. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and power this radio on. Let it go through boot. Alright, so this is my scan button. This is programmed for scan. There is on these radios, there is no LED that identifies scans, so you kind of just have to memorize your buttons. Top button I have is monitor. Bottom button as I have volume. And then this one is the nuisance delete for a scan member. Alright, so these radios do take the standard Astro, or standard Saber batteries, as I said. You can get shorter batteries for these aftermarket. Most of them are Lions, but you can still look around and you will still find new old stock OEM batteries. I have no OEM batteries for these, but I am working on getting some. Alright, so these models are 32 channel UHF 403 to 470 megahertz, and they both have 1 meg Vocon boards. This one did have legitimate tags, but they were replaced by the department because they had worn off with their mix shift tag, but that tag is also wearing off. This radio does still have its legitimate tags on it. Both of these radios came from the same department that I do not know where, but they were in the same family that the department had. When buying these radios, you do need to be careful, as you can get some with 512K Vocons in them. And if they have an old DSP, they will be VSELP radios and not IMBE P25 radios. VSELP radios are actually very secure, surprisingly, but they do sound pretty awful, the digital on them. But the only way to monitor VSELP is if you use another VSELP radio, or I think DSD can do VSELP, but I'm not sure. Alright, so out of the box, these radios can actually do a lot. They're not very flash code dependent, as the Jedi series are. So these have just a basic trunked flash code. I think it's H38. And then they have the Astro 25 operation. But they can do full MDC features, and they also can do radio inhibit with MDC, and they also can do all of the selective calling features. Alright, so let's go ahead and power these on. And I'll do a little demonstration. Let me get that off scan. And alright, so we'll switch over to analog and concentric A, or my first 16 channels, zone. I have mostly analog in there, and then a couple digital channels. In concentric switch B, I have police receive, federal U.S. government digital receive, and a couple more of my P25 channels and a P25 amateur repeater. Alright, so I'll show you that these radios can do MDC. Let me go ahead and switch these over. This is MDC preamble, which these are some of the last modern radios that can do the preamble. I like it because it's just a goofy sound, and I just have it on here for chits and giggles, but this is what it sounds like. Nope, that's actually DOS mute. Which the DOS mute on this radio doesn't work because of the DSP. The DSP is so awful in this radio that it won't even do the correct unmute of the MDC 1200 DOS mute, which is why I'm going to get it upgraded. But alright, here's the DOS mute. Oh, that's too loud. Let me turn that down.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Alright, that's DOS mute, and then here's the preamble, which should work. And also, this radio here that has the other DSP has a delay in receiving. So the transmit has no delay, but for some odd reason, in analog or digital, it has a delay in the receive. This radio with the latest DSP has a delay in the transmit like all other modern digital radios, but it doesn't have one in the receive. So if you take this radio plus this radio, you get a really long delay between these two radios, which is why this one's going to get shipped out to get upgraded. But here's the preamble with the delay.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It almost sounds like the whammy effect that you get on a repeater, but that's because of the delay in the audio on these. Alright, so here is old DSP to the new DSP.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
As you can see, there's a lot less feedback because there's no delay. Alright, so let's go ahead and do a couple digital tests now.
Nope, that's analog.
Alright, so let's switch it over to digital. Alright, so here's the new DSP to the old DSP. Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And digital sounds okay on this old DSP, but the newer ones just do it a lot better, and you really want to have these with the latest firmware and DSP because the P25 in these things kick ass compared to new radios. These things are beautiful at P25. Testing. And again, that one's too loud because the one with the old DSP, you have to turn up the volume just to get it to be as loud as the new one. Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, that audio sounds a lot better. Alright, so these radios can do Astro 25, the 9600 baud trunking. The only issue is they have to be a 1 meg, they have to be firmware 6 or 7, I think, and it removes a crap ton of the features. You'll lose all the MDC settings, and you'll lose a lot of the calls, so it'll basically just be a two-way radio that only has a trunking flash code, but it will work on a 9600 baud Astro 25 digital trunking system. Alright, so some of these radios are some of the last radios that can be programmed with modern CPS and DOS. These radios can work with the Astro Saber and the XCS 3000 CPS, and it's really good to use the CPS on these because it's a lot easier to use and a lot easier to program. But also you can still use conventional DOS RSS if you would like to. This is the Echo Alpha here for my quick review of the Motorola Astro Saber P25 portable radios. I would highly recommend these radios to any digital beginner or to anybody who's on a budget, as the accessories are fairly easy to find and the radios can be cheap and purchased for around $140 with a charger on the internet. I paid $270 for these, but it came with a crap ton of accessories, and I really like these radios. If you have any questions, comment below, and this is the Echo Alpha here for the Motorola Astro Saber P25 UHF radios.